We get to a point along our spiritual path where we cannot let words be in our way. We must allow, because the only thing a word means is the meaning you give it. So when a word triggers you, that's actually a gift. That's a catalyst for you to look at, what am I making up? I say, thank God that I have a negative connotation around is coming up, so that I can look at that negative connotation and have that heal within me. So it uses words like salvation and God and heaven, and it talks about hell and the Holy Spirit. So to be where I am today and to be so completely free around these words, and the Course in Miracles redefines these words from a very, very high vibration. It brings it to the highest vibration of its meaning. So it's really, the words themselves can be very healing for us. Get on your knees and ask God, the universe, love, whatever word you use, ask a higher power to help you. Is an important component that can help us grow spiritually. Being humble to the power of love or spirit that really wants to help you. And I believe asking and being on your knees is just symbolic of your willingness to be open for a solution. Establish within ourselves the peace of God. And when we are at peace, we become more magnetic for happiness, for ease, for flow. Our life, we move from a scared, separated life of fear to a happy life, to a life of flow, to a life of connection. And I do think that that is our natural state of being. It is our nature. I really do believe that.
Welcome to the Awakening Entrepreneur Podcast. This show is for entrepreneurs that have chosen to define their life beyond the material. They have followed their soul on a hero's journey towards the mystery of the spiritual. I'm your host, Garrett Ng. Each episode will be learning from awakened entrepreneurs and spiritual thought leaders. They have broken through the mold of being ordinary to extraordinary, challenging our paradigm, shining light to the dark, giving hope when there is doubt. The moment of truth is upon us. It is time to transcend our world from fear to love. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to this episode of Awakening Entrepreneur Podcast. As soon as I connected with this guest, I just felt a wave of fun and joy that just hit me all over. And before I go into the formal introduction of our guest, his name is Mark Anthony Lord, I'm going to share a quotation I found on his website. I make spirituality fun. One of the most important things I've discovered is that spiritual awakening is meant to awaken a natural state of joy, connection, peace, and freedom. If it's not ultimately doing that, there's something wrong. God is cool. Love is powerful and healing. And you are all those things too. So very often, like at least in my journey, I relate to spiritual awakening as challenging, is difficult. But if it's about having fun, geez, I'm all for that. So the formal part, Mark has studied under some amazing spiritual teachers such as Michael Beckwith, Byron Katie, and Katie Hendricks, and Marianne Williamson, a lot of the people that I look up to myself. He discovered that waking up and making some kind of difference is a non-negotiable in his life. And in 2003, he became ordained minister in the Agape Spiritual Center. So, and he's also the author of two very special books. One of them is The 7 Living Words, and the other one is Thou Shalt Not Suffer. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much. It's an honor to join you.
Brother, why do you think we got connected now? What do you think? Is it just random acts of stumbling across the internet that somehow I found your website? How do you think that we got connected?
Well, I do think it's deeper than that. I think that there has been an awakening. Some people point to, 2012 as the, dynamic shifting of energy. But I think the internet, all of this stuff that has been causing humanity to be able to connect instantly all over the world is just a symbol, or kind of a shadow of truly what spirit is, which is infinitely and always connected. So as we are evolving and stepping into a greater awakening, I think that this is the thing that's happening. Suddenly, people from the opposite side of the world can go, boom, hey, let's get together. Hey, I know you. Whoa, there's something wonderful here. I think that dynamic connection is available more and more for everyone. And I think it's going to be in the invisible field, creating more and more connections of love.
Yeah. And as you speak, a feeling that came towards me is that when you're vibrating at a certain level, and then again, not judging people like I'm vibrating at a high level or lower level, whatever it is perfect. You attract similar frequency towards you. And like when I just talking to you is just so easy, even though we haven't talked much, but it's just connecting with the right people that as you awaken, you're going to automatically start to connect with other people that resonate on the same level.
Yes, I'm a very, very committed student and teacher of A Course in Miracles. And the Course in Miracles, really, the purpose of it is to establish within ourselves the peace of God, the peace. And when we are at peace, we become more magnetic for happiness, for ease, for flow. Our life, we move from a scared, separated life of fear to a happy life, to a life of flow, to a life of connection. And I do think that that is our natural state of being. It is our nature. I really do believe that.
Awesome. So before my awakening journey, I came across Marianne Williamson's version of the Course in Miracle. Like I found a lot of the wisdom that's being shared is extremely profound. Even till today, I have minimal understanding of how did the Course in Miracle came about? Because my understanding of the book is like quite meaty.
It is meaty. It is meaty indeed. And I give thanks to Marianne Williamson, as I think millions and millions and millions of people do, because it was her divine appointment to give her life to the Course, and she's been teaching on it for decades. I just listened to her on YouTube this morning randomly, and I was like, oh my God, she's a genius in the way she speaks and presents principles. I mean, it's awesome. The Course was channeled through a woman named Helen Schuckman and a peer, I believe a psychotherapist in New York in the later 60s into the early 70s. Forgive me for not remembering her partner's name that supported that. But anyway, they were co-workers and they were challenged. Their relationship was challenging. And she said some very powerful words. As she said, there's got to be a better way. And those words, anyone listening now, if you are stuck in an area of your life, shine your attention upon that. Give it your attention, be it your health, be it your money, be it a relationship, be it a career challenge, whatever it is, put your attention upon that and speak those words. There has got to be a better way. That is literally like words that will crack the code and will open something up within it so that that better way must be revealed to you. And that's what happened. And Helen Schuckman just started channeling and writing. She wrote the entire book, I believe it was over 7 years, just dictating the voice that she heard, which is said to be the voice of Jesus. And it has the textbook. It has the 365 lessons, which is basically a lesson a day, although many people do it slower. They recommend not doing it faster than a lesson a day, but you don't need to rush through it. And then it has the last section, which is a section for teachers on helping people understand terms and how to evolve into being a teacher of the Course, if that is your calling. It is absolutely phenomenal book that teaches oneness like nothing else I've ever read. It doesn't falter. It doesn't contradict. It points exactly what the ego does, what fear does. It points exactly what God is and the purpose of the Holy Spirit. It just absolutely brilliant. I've often said that, you put me on an island by myself and you say, what's the book you want? Don't even think about it. A Course in Miracles, give me that book and send me to the island. I'll be just fine.
And I remember is a while ago, from my little memory of the actual content, is that even though it's about Jesus and a lot about God and Holy Spirit and all that, but it's not religious in the way that it's trying to control it. Like I was raised a Catholic, and there's a lot of things that it doesn't resonate energetically. It just, I don't agree with it. But in the Course of Miracle, there wasn't anything that was, I find it difficult to digest. In fact, all of them are just, yep, everything just made sense.
Yeah, well, I'm glad for you. It is challenging for others. It is written in traditional Christian terminology. It is written in the male pronoun and refers to God as he. So I can appreciate that people are challenged by that, but I find even that perfect because we get to a point along our spiritual path where we cannot let words be in our way. We must allow, because the only thing a word means is the meaning you give it. So when a word triggers you, that's actually a gift. That's a catalyst for you to look at, what am I making up? I say, thank God that word that I have a negative connotation around is coming up so that I can look at that negative connotation and have that healed within me. So it uses words like salvation and God and heaven, and it talks about hell and the Holy Spirit. And I didn't like a lot of those words, by the way. I was raised Catholic and I threw the baby out with the bathwater. I was not spiritual. I was a drug addict on the street, man. I wanted nothing to do with God. So to be where I am today and to be so completely free around these words, and the Course in Miracles redefines these words from a very, very high vibration. It brings it to the highest vibration of its meaning. So it's really, the words themselves can be very healing for us.
Well, just listening to the brief history of your upbringing, it sounds like it's a Course in Miracle. It sounds like it's divine that you went through this path. If you had been like, hey, I'm spiritual, hey, I'm connecting with God, I'm connecting to oneness, and at the very beginning, most people probably wouldn't be able to relate to you the same way as they can from all walks of life. So I guess tell us a bit about your journey or your upbringing.
Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard. I was also, like I said, I was raised Catholic, but I was raised in a very blue collar, working class suburb of Detroit. And, my family, especially my parents, were nice enough, but they were all disempowered. They were just disempowered. They went to church. They did what they were told. Like, you know what I mean? They just were kind of puppets in life. And I'm a gay man. I remember as early as like 4 years old thinking, oh my gosh, there's something deeply wrong with me. And by the time I was 7, I was sure that God was going to send me to hell so I could burn for eternity. And that's really wounding. That's way too much for the psyche of a 7-year-old to even try to comprehend. So I used to beg God at night to please don't kill me. Please make me different. I don't know what to do. I was very, very lost. And add on top of that, being sexually abused as a young child. So it was quite a beginning for me. I really mean this truly. It was the perfect way for me to come in for this lifetime to do what I'm here to do and to heal what is to be healed. So when I look back, I don't regret any of it. But when you're moving through it, it's just not fun. It's not fun. So, by the time I graduated college, I really did go down a dark road really quickly of sex and drugs and just a lot of self-destruction. And within, a year or two, I was hitting bottom big time, and found out about 12-step program and started going to that, but hated it and thought, oh, these people are old and weird. And I was just going to go and get myself fixed up and then go back out and party with my friends. Like I didn't understand anything. But I was dying. I mean, I was killing myself and I didn't know how to stop. And that's scary. That's very scary. So I like to tell this story, if I may, because I share it as much as I can. I was maybe 25. I went to a 12-step meeting. I was living in Chicago and it was a winter night. It was a beautiful winter night. The snow was falling and it was kind of warm. And I was walking home. I was standing at the street corner. If I go left, I could go to the bars. And if I kept going straight, I could walk home. And I stood there on the corner, just unable to move. I couldn't move. And the light kept changing. I'm like, oh, I want to go to the bar. I want to go home. And I just couldn't move either way. And it was the first time I think I genuinely from my heart said, God, walk me home. And I swear to you, I just put my hand out and I felt like it was Jesus or something. I don't know. I mean, just a beautiful being. I felt like something beautiful took my hand and suddenly I was walking home. And for the first time, I was able to do what I wanted to do for my health and my well-being, but could never do before. That may sound like nothing, but it was a miracle. It was a miracle to me. And I felt something walk me. And that was the beginning of a lifetime of wonderful miracles and spiritual experiences that I'm just like, wow, I'm so blessed to have that.
That is amazing. Would you say that after that event, from what you described, more and more of such miracles start to occur, like different types? But for me, like during the awakening, like I remember like there are big ones, like the one that you described. And then subsequently, whether it's I've lost the key and miraculously somehow it just reappears somewhere, or like the more that these little miracles happen, the more that it reinforces my faith that, dude, like there's more to this. There's not coincidence. So even when we connecting on this podcast right now, I don't even try to look up the magic behind it. How does it work? But I just know that there's no mistake. Is the miracle is happening for us.
Yes, for sure, absolutely. And I wish I could say, oh, yay, from there, I just walked out into the golden sunlight and, but no, I had another like probably year of self-destruction. And the addiction had me so strong that I landed in a treatment center in Canada, a private treatment center for 30 days. And that is where my life was truly saved. It was a very spiritual place. And the woman, my counselor, said to me, she said, you have got to learn how to forgive or you're going to die. I remember her saying that to me and I was like, I don't even know what forgiveness is. And I've got to figure out how to do this. So, that was when I feel like it really turned the corner and started getting better. But to answer your question, yes, there is a undeniable perfect life that is happening everywhere, and it is in all of us, and it is all of us, and the universe is perfectly organizing itself and course correcting itself, and there is a divine intelligence that we cannot get outside of. It's impossible. Even though we can think ourselves separate from it, we can make things that are painful and suffering, we will never ever get away from the presence that is perfect love, and that is this divine orchestrator. It's impossible.
Relating to some of the darker times that you had to go through, like even after feeling the hands of Jesus or someone holding it and guiding you home, and then you have to go through another year of really challenging period before going to Canada. What would you say to people that are going through divorces, separations, financial ruins, death of loved ones right now, that's just going through a really tough time? It definitely doesn't feel like a miracle right now.
Yeah, I know. And that is, I do believe I'm grateful for my path because I have so much compassion. I really do. I get it. I know the dark night of the soul. I know the feeling so alone. And I know the feeling of just wanting to die because it just would be easier. I know those things, but I also sit here completely on the other side, completely aware of the magnificent light that every one of us is. I know it. And because I walked through that dark night of the soul and I know the light, I can say to everyone, it's possible. It's possible for everyone. What would I say to you? Get on your knees and ask. Ask God, the universe, love, whatever word you use, ask a higher power to help you. Like genuinely. And I say get on your knees because I think humility is an important component that can help us grow spiritually. I had to be humbled to where I was just flat on the ground, humbled. And I think that's a scary word for people because, people confuse it with humiliation. I'm not talking about humiliation. I'm talking about being humble to the power of love or spirit that really wants to help you. And I believe asking and being on your knees is just symbolic of your willingness to be open for a solution. So that's what I know, and that's what I've done many a nights. So that's what I would pass on to someone else.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the dark night of the soul or difficult situation or crisis that people face, unless they feel like they've got the back against the corner and they've tried all the strategies, all the tactics, all the hustling, and nothing works, until then your ego is still going that there must be a way, I'll figure it out. But until that, you've tried and exhausted all method and even your energy is depleted, it's like, and then have the humility to someone, universe, God, somewhere, like, please help me. Then if it show up prior to that, you will say, my hustling worked out, my strategy worked out, my tactics worked out. But until you're humble enough, like, please, someone, something, help me, then if it show up prior to that, it's not a miracle. So it can only show up when you have the humility to say that if there is some greater power beyond that, can you come in now to help me? Maybe they will come up to show you a way to out of the existing external situation, or maybe it's just a power inside, a force inside that the situation no longer seems so daunting anymore. I know that I had both of these happen to me during my time.
Yeah. My minister, my teacher, Michael Bernard Beckwith, I was very blessed to be with him, studying under him and working with him for about 8 years. And he has a beautiful phrase, a saying. He would say, pain pushes until vision pulls. And I think that is very true, that for many of us, you're right. For me, I had to hit bottom pain. I had to feel enough pain that it pushed me into seeking, into my awakening. The pain had to get worse and worse and worse until finally I couldn't take it and I surrendered. And it was in that moment that things started to shift. I do believe also that we can get to a point in our spiritual awakening where we don't need to use pain as the catalyst, that the vision of our lives, the vision of God, the vision of love can be so powerful that we want that so much that begins to pull us. Isn't that a lovely idea?
Yeah, definitely is. So I want to touch on the topic of being gay. I've read from a lot of different places that we're living in a patriarchy world and the masculine energy is dominating, and nothing wrong with masculine energy. But when one thing is too over dominating over another, just like human is dominating the world right now, nature and animals and stuff, it tips it imbalance. And one of the attributes of being gay is you've got the strong feminine energy that also comes in. A lot of sacred text talks about is what is needed in the current time to heal this planet. What do you see your role of having these strong energies of both sides that coming onto this lifetime?
Yeah. Well, I know that for me personally, that I feel a beautiful today is such a balance of masculine, feminine energy that I will say to people that I really believe and know myself to be gender fluid, which really means that I don't locate myself as like a man or a woman inside of me. Like it just literally feels like there's a both and inside of me. And I believe that I had access to that experience, which I think is part of my spirituality. It gives me something away. I can't say someone who's more masculine or more feminine in their gender doesn't know God or spirit. That's not true. But for me, the balance of both feels so beautiful and so perfect. So that's one of the gifts I believe that I have been given. And as a gay man, I believe that part of my soul's journey was to really learn to love and accept myself with nothing from the world to support, because I could not get from the world this kind of love, especially when I was growing up, because it was still taboo. It was still, it's still taboo in so many parts of the world. I don't want to make light of that, but there have been great strides over the past decades around what's acceptable today than the way it used to be. So for me, it was such a powerful catalyst to cause me to look within and to face hatred and self-rejection and to have that transformed into self-love. I love myself. I crazy, wholly, completely love myself. I think I'm fabulous. I'm perfectly wired. I think being gay is beautiful. Like there's nothing else I would ever want to be this lifetime. Those are words I could not say previously at all. And I mean those from my heart. So, every time we have any one person has some kind of acceptance or love transformation or healing within ourselves, that is the gift we give to the world. So, it is the inner transformation that matters, because there's one here. It's one mind, one presence. We are all that one. And so if you, Gary, have a healing within your mind and heart, and you're a part of the one, how can it not affect me? It's a gift you give. It's a gift you give to me. So I do think it's a powerful time where the feminine energy is needed and wanted. And I think that's why things like the LGBTQ world are rising up. I do believe that's why so much acceptance has been occurring over the last decades. I think there's a dynamic shifting happening. And I do believe that we are creating a world where everyone will truly be able to just be themselves and dress from the inside out. Wear what you want to wear, be what you want to be, express your creative, beautiful self, and it will be celebrated and welcomed. I believe that's when we'll really experience a whole new level of wholeness.
Wow, that's two things I guess I can take away from what you just said. One is the healing that comes from the self-acceptance of being gay, because you're being judged like left, right, and center. And to go through that journey, it's incredible. The second one is the label, the word gay. It's not just about gay. I know that when I went through this journey of becoming vegetarian, then I changed to plant-based because I don't associate with the word. But then all of this is just a title. Like if I decide to eat meat for whatever reason, whether it's for survival or for wanting to enjoy the taste of meat, does that suddenly, hey, I've got identity crisis, I need to go and seek counseling now? A gay person could be in one moment acting more masculine. A straight person in another moment could be acting more feminine. Do we start labeling from moment to moment? And that's what I guess limitation with a lot of the words that we use. It has a lot of limitation. You touch on this when you talk about studying the Course in Miracle and seeing the intention behind the words rather than just the words in itself.
Yeah, for sure. What I know is I don't think of myself like, I'm not an activist. I'm not like I'm gay and I'm proud. It just feels like it's just a part of me and it feels very natural. And I don't think about it, and I don't think about it when I'm with all my friends. I've got people of all walks of life. And I think it's beautiful that it's just welcomed and it's just here. And I think because I have grown to accept and love myself so fully, that is the world that I see. And those are the kind of people that I attract into my world.
I've learned a lot from Byron Katie, which I know that you've studied under. What I love about Byron Katie's work is her practical example that she uses when she's faced in gunpoint and someone pulling a gun on her on multiple occasions. Like, how did she actually react? It's like, wow, I never thought of reacting like that, and also seeing the outcome as well. So still on the topic of being gay, but not so much for the audience, it's more so that if someone comes at you that inside you may be spiritual, because in this 3D reality, there's the practical stuff that you have to deal with, that if someone, hey, they accuse you of being wrong in being gay in a very aggressive manner, confrontational manner, how would you approach it?
Well, I would hope to be very Byron Katie. The story you referenced, I know, and I would, she's told it many times. And I was with her once when she told the story of walking down the streets of Atlanta and a man comes up and holds a gun to her head. And she responded immediately. And all she said was, "Oh, sweetie, you don't want to do this to yourself." Those were the words she said. And that pure love made him immediately put the gun down. And, it kept going. I really believe, by the way, Byron Katie wouldn't have cared in that moment which way it went. I think she's completely unattached to staying in the form or out of the form. I don't think it matters to her at all, which is what gave her the freedom to really, and what she was saying, listen to those words, "Oh, sweetie, you don't want to do this to yourself." He wouldn't be doing anything to her. She was completely open and free. He would have caused for himself a karmic cycle that he would have to move through and heal, that he had no idea what this would do to his evolution and his spiritual path if he chose to kill somebody. What a blessing that he walked up to Byron Katie, of all people, in that moment, So my hope would be, and my prayer would be, that I would have that same kind of thing. My first thing would be, wow, this person who's calling me, making fun of me for being gay, or calling me a faggot, or being aggressive, that they're in pain, that there's a pain in them that they can't even begin to own or know yet. And the best they can do is project it out onto someone else and get a little bit of relief. It's momentary and it's fake relief, but it's a moment of relief when they can stab at somebody else. That's the truth. When someone's doing that, they're seeking relief from their own pain. Now, it doesn't work, but it's the best that they know. So my hope would be that I can know that in the moment, and that I can be that place of grace and love. Jesus, when he was walking, as the story goes, whether it did or didn't happen, the point of the story is, when he was walking through the crowd to be crucified, and they were yelling, "Crucify him, crucify him," and attacking him and shouting at him, he walked through undefended. He defended nothing. And the first words that he spoke, it is said on the cross, were, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," which really means love, the highest power of oneness. Forgive these people because they don't realize that all they're doing is hurting themselves. They do not know this, and they deserve compassion. So that's a beautiful way to move through the world. And that's what I strive for. I strive to move through the world as that grace.
So I guess it's less about focusing on, oh, what should I say? And it's, I guess, in learning about public speaking, it's like, oh, okay, you need to, or using sales strategy. These are different ways you can manipulate the situation, but it's more about the state of being that you're in, and the right words or the right action will come out. Very often, like in my personal development journey, it's like, okay, what are the different tricks that I can pull out of my bag to overcome this situation? And how I got onto spirituality, or one of the reasons, is that if I'm not conscious in the moment that I'm being triggered, it doesn't matter how many tools I've got in my belt. I don't even remember I've got a belt to even pull out these tools. So it's about like being conscious of, in that moment, we have choices.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of my newest tattoos. I don't know if you can see, it's on my arm here. And it's a quote from the Course. And it says, "I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me." And I put that on my arm. Like, I had that tattooed because this is my truth. I don't ever have to worry about what to say or what to do. Everywhere I am, I will be directed. I will be guided. That is the sweet surrender into the holy instant, the now moment, where we don't have to plan and we don't have to prepare. And whatever comes our way, we will know what to do, how to respond, what to say. That is the truth for all of us.
And I also want to touch on something that you shared about karmic cycles and what Byron Katie said. Going through my dark night of the soul, I had attempted suicide. And even at the age of earlier, like 8 years old, I also attempted suicide, or at least certain thoughts that came into my head, and took certain steps. And one thing that I learned yesterday from listening to one of the books by Dolores Cannon about after death and life, and also another book also talks about this as well. Suicide is never intended to happen by nature or by your own path. Because at a certain point in time, if life was so difficult, why even try? Maybe my time's up. But then now that I know, like, whenever a suicide is never meant to happen. And by taking your own life, especially with so many countries or cities being in lockdown and people's like feeling trapped in their situation, and a lot of people in financial ruins because of business closing down. My understanding is that by taking your own life, you will just add to your karmic cycle. You have more stuff to work on. You're not going to get out easily. Do you subscribe to the same theory? Like, especially people going through a difficult time, like if they having thoughts of like taking their own life, what are some of the wisdom that you can share with them?
Well, I don't fully think of it the way you just described it.
Mhm.
I don't, because I think that it is a compassionate universe, period. And that's a period. And if I, in my mere humanness, if you will, can have compassion for someone who's in so much pain that the best they can choose is to take their life to relieve that pain. If I can have love and compassion, how can a universe that is infinitely more loving not? So I believe it's only love, and it's only love. And that is absolutely true. I also believe that no one ever dies. So it kind of, I mean, like, it's like, give me a moment on this, because let me get all the way through this, because you could think of our incarnations like pairs of clothes. Like, we've had so many, and like at the end of the night, I take this outfit, I take it off and I throw it in the corner and I'm done with it. And, it doesn't, I don't consider it who I am. And I'm not upset if it's sitting there in a pile. I'll clean it, I'll wear it, or I won't. You could almost look at your bodies that way. Like, you put one on, you take it off. You put the next one on, you take it off. So I think that it's easier than we make it. And I think there's fear in there that is guiding people's response. Let me tell you another story. I read a book by a medium who would he would talk to people on the other side, and family would come and work with him so they could have healing. And parents came to him and said, "Hey, our son committed suicide. We're so worried for him. Can you contact him?" And he did. And he contacted their son. And how it was described, and this is beautiful, it was described that their son was in what's like a hospital, where his emotional self and his psyche was being cared for, because he could not get the help that he genuinely needed in this dimension of being, in this very hard reality of humanity in this earth plane. He could not get the help that he needed. So for that soul, it was the best choice he could choose to exit the body. And where he was in a place where he was able to heal and able to evolve and able to step back into his cycles of living. I thought that was beautiful. And I thought, that's the universe I believe in. That's totally the universe I believe in. Now, on top of that, I agree with you. There is something that he will have to face and heal because of that choice he made, but it's not punishment.
Yeah, definitely. So since you, I guess, started this awakening journey from, I guess, going through certain addictions and feeling certain traps and learning about all these great teachers and philosophy, what are some of the most powerful lessons that you've come across that you could share with the audience?
Yeah, so many.
Yeah.
So many. Let's see, which one do I want to share? I think the one that's coming to mind that feels like Spirit is wanting me to share, and this is an intense one, but I think it will be healing for those that are meant to hear it. A few years ago, I went to Costa Rica and I did ayahuasca. You've heard of ayahuasca?
Yep. I've had the same experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to a place called Rhythmia and we did ayahuasca 4 nights in a row. So it was really intense. I'd never done it before. Ayahuasca is plant medicine, and it is a way to access healing and to accelerate healing from the spiritual point of view. It's very, very, everyone has a different experience. But the 3rd night I did it, I was just sitting outside. It was a gorgeous night. I was relaxed. The ayahuasca was in me. I felt pretty calm. I was like, wow, this is going to be a nice, easy journey tonight, because it was so relaxing. And then suddenly, the images of being sexually abused as 6 years old came to mind. And I closed my eyes and I was seeing, now when you're on ayahuasca, it's all like 3D, like you're in it, like it's so amazing. And so I'm watching this experience and I thought, oh, I'm supposed to get the little boy out. I'm supposed to save him from this experience. And just then, one of the shamans sat next to me, and the shamans co-voyage and they take the ayahuasca. And so she sat down next to me, and I was getting emotionally, accelerated within myself. And she sat down and she whispered in my ear, "Let them do it. Let them do it," which really meant don't interrupt, just watch. Something's happening for you. Just watch. So I was crying and I was watching, and suddenly the little boy that was being sexually abused was placed on the ground, wrapped in like this mummy material, and he was carried up these stairs, placed, and then it was in this cave with this beautiful goddess sitting on the throne, and very dramatic, and they placed the child who's wrapped up and on the ground, and the little boy just dissolves into the earth. And I'm very feeling it and crying and everything. And the goddess says to me, do you think I would let you be hurt for one moment? And suddenly this little golden boy walks from behind her out, and it's my soul. It's this beautiful golden light, and it comes right into my being. And she says, I rescued you the moment that began. You have never been hurt. You have never been injured. Take your soul. And I felt my soul merge inside of me. Now that's very dramatic, but it's so true that this universe, it was a symbol that it showed me that we are never really hurt. We are never really harmed. In fact, if we go into an experience like that, our soul is kind of separated out so that it doesn't even know it or participate in it. And then our journey becomes about a returning to our soul. So that was an absolutely miraculous experience. And then the next thing I was shown was billions of people walking on the planet soulless, just patterns of repeat. Just their soul is like sitting up on a shelf somewhere, and they're just walking patterns of addiction and patterns of suffering, and they don't even know it. It just looked like a bunch of shells of people. And all the while, their spirit is just beautifully waiting for them to wake up and return home. That's a true experience of inside of my being that was a part of my healing and a part of my awakening.
Wow.
That was dramatic, right?
Yeah. The people that I guess have not tried any of the plant medicine, some people I've heard they've tried party drugs when they were younger, and because of that, and they've been addicted to it, and because of that, they are conscious of not wanting to go there again. How would you describe, I guess, the difference between the plant medicines and party drugs?
Well, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because everyone has to figure that out for themselves. I have lots of friends who are in 12-step recovery who intentionally say, no, I won't go do that because it's just not part of my plan. And that's totally cool. There's lots of spiritual awakening paths for sure. I think there's a lot of differences for me. When I was doing drugs, I was doing it from a place of fear and a hole inside me and self-hatred. I was doing it from a place of wanting to escape, and it was all pain. We're doing ayahuasca.
For the benefit of myself and the audience that have never done the party drugs, can you describe the sensation? What do you get from the party drugs? Is it the same, similar highs, or is it same but different? So the only thing I could relate to is alcohol. The high I get from alcohol it was more derived from outside. It gave me a certain confidence. But with the sacred plant medicine, it's like there's an internal joy that's coming through. It's not necessarily from the outside. So what is it like, the feelings that you get from the party drugs?
Yeah, it's escape. You feel alive. You feel good. I mean, that's why you do it. In the beginning, you feel like yourself for the first time. Like you feel like it's like, oh my God, I'm not in this existential suffering. I'm not being self-obsessed with what are people thinking about me. You feel okay.
Can you sit in silence and still enjoy that same feeling, or is it usually together with external activities as well?
For me, it was external activities. That was my. So I don't know about other people. There's lots of ways to do it for sure. But for me, it was, with other people, and it was sort of that whole kind of
because I guess the general, like from watching movies or TVs, or even hearing from friends, I don't generally see people like after taking certain party drugs and just sitting down meditating in a dark room.
Yeah. No, that wasn't my experience. But with the ayahuasca, it's very spiritual, and it was over an hour of ritual and praying, and the shamans were blessing it, and it was all intention for healing. It was all intention for accessing our spirit. So it was a completely different experience. And there are many people there who are heroin addicts and drug addicts, and the ayahuasca would help them heal from addiction. And again, I'm not taking a stand for this. Everyone has to find their own path. But my experience was that plant medicine was very healing, non-addictive, completely non-addictive. I never felt a pull whatsoever to miss it or a craving for it. It felt like it was a healing journey.
I asked you to share like a few lessons, and one that you've shared is already so powerful. I'm keen to hear another one or two lessons from you that you've learned along the way.
Okay, I will share one more because this is again one of my favorite. I just feel so blessed by this. I was at an ashram in India for 30 days, and prior to going there, I kind of threw Jesus out around age 8 or 9 years old. I was like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. He got hijacked by religions of fear, and I just said, take him. I don't need him. So I walked a lot of my life and just not into Jesus at all. And here I'm in India in this ashram, and it was beautiful. And the teachings were metaphysical, and we meditate, and the monks were brilliant at teaching. And I was so devouring everything that they were giving me. And about day 4, I hear in a meditation, Jesus saying, take my hand. And I was like, no. I'm not into Jesus. Thank you. No, I'm here in India. I want a guru, like I want an Indian guru. Like I was trying to make the guru who was there. I was like, this is my guru now. And Jesus was just like inside me going, take my hand. And so I ignored it. And then the next day, more lessons, more meditation. And it was like, Jesus again, just inside me. But it wasn't like a scary Jesus. It was like, me and you. It's just like a brother. It was just like a friend who was like, take my hand. I'm here to help you. And so I did inside myself, like I took his hand, if you will, like this is all inside of you. It's in the meditation. But in that, I did that. And then it just went like white light. It just went, and it was like this beautiful white light that I had never quite seen and felt before. And I thought, oh my goodness, I don't even know what this is about, but this is amazing. And then Jesus did not leave me alone the whole time. Like I swear to you, I just like all the time, like he was talking with me, and he was like walking with me to the point where I was like, I think I'm losing my mind. But I guess if I'm going to lose my mind, it's fine. Like what a great way to lose your mind. So that was established, but this is the key point. It was about a week later, and we were in class and the monks were teaching, and suddenly I hear Jesus, and he says, say my name and don't stop. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to listen to the monk here. So I'm trying to listen, and then it came the point where the monk says, okay, now we will meditate. And at that point, everyone would go to their meditation spot, and whatever the lesson was, we would kind of take it in. So I went to the way back of the room because I'm like, I know something's important's going to happen here. So I go to the back of the room, I close my eyes, and I just was saying, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. And I kept ringing it like a bell, like a mantra. And suddenly in my mind, swirling around me were all the names I've ever been called. All of the judgments, the faggot, the sissy, the stupid, whatever, every name, all the people, they were just swirling around me like a rodeo, faster and faster. And it was just like I sat in the center of the storm. Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ. And then again, it went, and all of those names disappeared. All of it left my mind. And my friend, I sat in the center of a silence like I had never, it was just pure silence. It was just pure, and it was beautiful. And it lasted for such a long time. It was really a true healing. So my path, as you're kind of discerning, I think, is that my spiritual path has been very much a healing journey. It's been very much about healing the traumas and healing the lies and healing the suffering thoughts that I thought were true. I mean, that's really been my path.
So for people that I guess they haven't had the calling or had the opportunity to go to have ayahuasca or go to an ashram in India, they may be very busy with their daily lives, or maybe they're currently in lockdown. What are some of the daily practice or rituals that you do or that you could recommend that one could start to do that will help them on this journey?
Well, you and I both have done, what I think I would recommend, which is read those books, pick up those books. Like if you have access to YouTube, you have access to everything. Start watching Marianne Williamson, start watching these different people. I watched one of your wonderful interviews with the gentleman from Jim McCarthy from the Law of One.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah. Watch these videos. Every time you take 15 to 20 minutes to just consume something of a higher vibration, it is going to bring you a gift. And if you just keep doing that, I believe that every person's right, something will find them. I know that some of my stories are dramatic. I understand that, and I'm grateful for them. But like you mentioned earlier, I also just have the simple, knowing of God. Last week, I was at a stoplight and a homeless man came to my window. I rolled down the window. I gave him some change. He looked in my eyes and I just gave him the money. He goes, "God bless you." And looking in his eyes, I drove away going, I think I got more of a blessing out of that than he did. I think he was there for me. It was so beautiful to my soul. So these simple things begin to grow in the light. So I just know every one of us has our perfect path, and every one of us has the right teachers, the right timing. So you don't have to stress about it. You don't have to go, oh, I can't have what Mark had. I can't afford to go to India, or I can't go that's my journey. That's what I did. But I didn't start doing that. I started reading some books. I just started exploring.
And for people on the journey, apart from the Course of Miracle, what are some of the other books that you recommend?
I pretty much have read them all. I'm not kidding you. Well, not all of them, but let's see. I love Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. I think it's wonderful. I think Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh is a great beginning book because it's real simple, but it's really powerful. I think that's a great one. I think Wayne Dyer is a mystical man. And if you read his first books, it's more about law of attraction and power of the mind. But if you get to his later books, he becomes a mystic at the later part of his life. So those are wonderful. It's Carolyn Mace is amazing. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. What a beautiful time to be on the planet that we have so many spiritual teachers and spiritual books. It's all contemporary now. So everything is possible.
So one of the things that I guess it reminded me of is Wayne Dyer, he went through certain divorces. And I'm in a relationship, and in my awakening journey, the relationship, it got rocky and challenging at times. At patches, it can still be. But relationship to me, and I think for a lot of people, is often the greatest teacher as well. Be it your family relationship or especially your intimate relationship. What is your views on marriage and that you shouldn't be divorced, or maybe you should get divorced? What's your view on that? Because it could be often one of the biggest challenges that people go through in their awakening journey, the different views and the different pool energetically. I think there's different energies that you seem to have arguments at times that it may be no logical reason, arguing over nothing. And half an hour in, what were we arguing about? And you don't even know, but the energy is there entangled to continue the arguments.
Yeah. First of all, I have no judgment or preference around people if they're married or single or polyamorous, or I really don't care. I have nothing in me that says anyone should do anything. And I'm in a marriage and been with my husband for 25 years. So yes, we've seen some, challenging times for sure. In fact, at year 15, we were just struggling so hard. And I remember it's one of those times where I finally got down on my knees. I was in so much pain in the relationship that I said, Holy Spirit, take this relationship. I don't have the courage to leave. I don't have the courage to stay. I don't know what to do. I'm just broken. Take this relationship. And shortly after that prayer, we ended up separating, and we thought we were done. We went our separate ways. And about 5 months later, we got back together. And it was a miracle. It was not my doing. And it was just beautiful, and we created a new relationship together. And I feel so blessed for that. Although whether you come back together or don't come back together, I believe it's always perfect. That just happened to be my journey, was that we came back together. And I see this primary relationship in my life as the gift of love, and simultaneously always the opportunity to grow. I'm always seeing myself reflected back. It's the place I practice forgiveness. It's the place I continue to, when it does get hard and challenging, to say, give me the loving words to say in this moment. It's the most powerful place to awaken. Really, you can awaken inside of a really hard relationship. It could be the best gift. So I know that journey, and I know the blessing of, I have a partner that we pray together, and we're really interested in each other's happiness. And we're really interested in knowing, what the other is saying. Like, that's really special. I didn't realize how special that is to have that. And we both are really committed to continue growing in ourselves. That's the best gift I think we can give each other, is that, I keep evolving and growing and bringing that to my relationship. So, if you're meant to stay, you'll stay. You're not the doer. You're not the one doing all of this. So let yourself off the hook, and keep praying and keep asking for guidance, and let it unfold by love. And then whether you stay together or whether you divorce, love will have its final say. That's all that matters.
Is there a certain skill in praying? Like, I know that in law of attraction, they say, oh, you have to set your intention and you have to let go of it and don't get too attached to it. And you have to feel as if it's happened. For praying, is there a certain art to how to do it? Obviously, one of the things that you mentioned is humility and be humble about it. Are there anything else that they need to pay attention to?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we could have done a whole conversation on that. By the way, I created a course called Chakra Prayer, and I'll be teaching that in the fall. So I'd love to share that with you, and anyone who's interested. It is a prayer practice that I created with a friend of mine, Panache Desai, who's a wonderful awakened man. He's been on Oprah, and he's a dear friend of mine. And he and I co-created this, and then he just said, I'm not doing it, it's yours. So I took it over, and it is a way of using the chakras to align with the qualities of spirit within you, so that you create a vortex within yourself of the kingdom of heaven, the conscious connection with oneness. It's a way to establish your mind and your being inside of the oneness with the divine. And when you're in that alignment, it says, ask and it is given. But we must ask inside the alignment. We must ask from the knowing of our oneness, not a grasping and a hoping and a trying to get something outside of us. The broken way to pray is to try to get something outside of you. The spiritual way to pray is when you pray from the God of your being, from your wholeness, and it's a form of conscious creation. So I do have a way of doing it where I first go to God. My first step is to think about God, and to think of the qualities of God is love, God is peace, God is power, God is truth. I think these things and I say these things out loud to get my mind and my energy established in the highest vibration. And then at some point it shifts and I go, because God is all of this, I am too. God is love, therefore I am love. God is peace, therefore I am peace. So I establish the truth of God and the truth of my being one with God. And then in that establishment, then you move into declaring, accepting, asking, whatever way you want to do it. Now you're in the vortex, as Abraham Hicks would say. That's a conscious way of getting into the vortex. And then it's about really allowing the mind to be transformed, allowing words of truth to flow through you as a prayer. And then I always end my prayer with great gratitude. Great gratitude and thanksgiving. And then, at the end, I let it go. I surrendered this prayer into the action of the law, the law of life that only says yes. That's kind of my way of saying it. And so it is, it's done. So that's a formula that I learned when I was at Agape years ago. And it's a beautiful practice. And it's very alive. It's very different than how we were taught as young Catholic boys.
Yeah. So if whatever you prayed for, it hasn't come to fruition yet, the next time you pray, will you tend to do the same prayer for the same intent, or will you move on to a different topic, or it just depends on what you feel like in that moment?
It's a great question. That is a great question, because look, think about it this way. If here's the fulfillment of my prayer and here I am. So I asked for this prayer and it's over here. The distance between me and the fulfillment of that prayer, that's what's interesting. Who must I become so that I move closer and closer and closer into alignment? Because once you are in alignment, thought, body, emotions, with what you desire, it must be made manifest. So what's in this distance? What is in there? Unworthiness, fear, wanting it for reasons you don't know. There's so much rich opportunity in the distance between you and the fulfillment of a prayer. This is the great, great gap where you can discover so much about yourself. So you can ask, do I really want this? Am I willing to change who I am to be in alignment with that? Or do I not really want it? Does it symbolize something else? Do I think I want it, but there's something else going on inside of me? You see, prayer can open up all these doors of self-discovery. And while it's activating your ability to become a mighty manifester and creator, who we all are, simultaneously, you get to know yourself. You get to understand your spirit. And there's just so much amazing things to discover inside of there. So there's no one answer. You know, you may say, I want to keep praying because I really want this. And I know that who I'm going to be when I manifest this is exactly perfect. And the very next person may have to go, you know, I don't think that's really true for me. I'm going to lay that one down and I'm going to just wait and see what's true for me. So you discover it.
Yeah, I guess deciphering from what you just say, a lot of our intentions or our wishes tends to be external oriented. And what you just said is, well, that's the gap. And the gap is, who do I need to become? Yeah. So if people say that it's not about what you get, but it's who you become, or it's not about the outcome, it's the journey. So what you essentially is teaching me is continue to focus on, like for your example, like especially if you're going through a rough patch in a relationship, how to have the courage to make certain decision, or to how to have the courage to love in spite of the external challenges. So I think that's a great way of approaching it. So for people that want to learn more about your course on meditation, where can they go to find out more about it?
Yeah, that's my chakra prayer class. It's not launching until the fall, but my website is markanthonylord.me. So you can go there and check that out and leave your name and you'll join my email list, and then I can keep you updated on that.
And in Australia, we're operating in different seasons. So the fall, what month would that be?
So October.
October 2021.
Yeah. And then Instagram is at Mark Anthony Lord. So that's pretty simple. I've got a couple programs. I also have a year-long Course in Miracles program that I do with my really dear friend, Aaron Abke. He and I have a program together, and we'll be launching another round of that in January. So, I would love for you, if I inspired anyone listening at all and you want to follow, go to my website or follow on Instagram, and I'll keep you posted on the programs that will be coming out in October or January.
And I'll share the links on the show notes. So finally, what's life about for you now, Mark?
What's life about for me now? I just moved to a small little artist town in Michigan, which is shocking to me. It's called Saugatuck, Saugatuck. It's a lovely town, very artistic, right on Lake Michigan, a couple hours outside of Chicago. It's a quieter journey. So life is about a deeper dive into God. I really feel like it's all I want. I meditate at least an hour a day. Reading the course, like I've just got a lot of time right now, and I really am relishing and using that time to just continue to deepen in my practice, because it's what I do for a living. So that's very important. But I just have this awakened, insatiable hunger for more. So that's really what my life is about. Otherwise, it's pretty simple. I've got 2 beautiful dogs, and it's a really lovely life. I'm surrounded with friends that love me, family that loves me. I can't believe I have the life that I have from where I came. So anyone who's listening, I promise you, if you're in pain or depression, or you've been sexually abused, or these things, I am here. Please hear me. Like, there's hope, there's life for you, and it's good life. There's good life.
Thank you, brother, for bringing such love and fun to this awakening process. For anyone that wants to connect with Mark, like follow him on social media. And yeah, I'll share the links on this site. I appreciate you so much, and I love you, and I thank you with all my heart.
Thank you, Gary. I cannot thank you enough. It's been a joy to hang out with you. I hope we stay connected.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.